signals on a cracked screen, white words in a black room, my thumb above the arrow, like it might move too soon. I sent smoke signals to no one at 1:15. Wrote your name, then erased it before the sentence had begun. The phone was warm in my hand, the room was colder than my nerve, and every little thing I typed started sounding undeserved. I wrote hey like it was harmless, then sorry like a wound, then a paragraph too honest for a blue bubble to hold. The cursor kept blinking with its tiny patient eye, like it knew the whole message was a way to not reply. I had the words lined up, but not the place to send. Some things turn into smoke before they reach the end. I sent smoke signals to no one, watched them rise and disappear. I sent smoke signals to no one, because a real text could come near. I don't need an answer, I don't need the truth begun. I sent smoke signals to no one and called it almost done. The brightness slid down slowly till my face was half erased. Autocorrect changed miss you into something with less weight. I fixed it, then I hated how the letters looked aloud, like they might crawl across the screen and find you on the other side. There was coffee gone cold by a charger with a split, a receipt from last Tuesday holding the table like a sin. I copied the whole message, then never pasted it anywhere, just kept it in the clipboard like a secret with no chair. I sent smoke signals to no one, watched them rise and disappear. I sent smoke signals to no one, because a real text could come near. I don't need an answer, I don't need the truth begun. I sent smoke signals to no one and called it almost done. White text, black glass, one breath, don't ask. I opened up the chat, then closed it by mistake, or maybe not by mistake. Maybe that is what it takes. Your photo looked too normal in the circle by your name, a small familiar weather I was scared would look the same. The last message in the thread was nothing cruel or deep, just some dumb little joke about forgetting how to sleep. I scrolled above it anyway, like the past might make a case, but old words turn into furniture when you stare too long at place. Maybe every unsent message thinks it still has somewhere to go, a little paper plane folded, but afraid of the window. Maybe every almost sorry needs a mouth it will not find, so it burns inside the draft box and leaves fingerprints behind. I wanted you to know it without hearing what you thought. Wanted all the smoke of saying it without the fire being caught. Wanted mercy from a silence that I made with my own hand. Wanted distance to forgive me for not crossing where I stand. Delete one line, rewrite two, change our mess into hope you're good. Take out the comma, put it back, watch the whole thing turn to ash. The screen locks on my face, then opens with my eyes, like even my own phone knows I have not learned to hide. I select the paragraph, and the blue turns almost bright. my thumb hovers over cut like a moth around a light. I thought about a voice note, but my breathing sounded wrong. Too close to the beginning, too tired for the song. I heard myself say your name, then stop before the rest. The little waveform trembled like a lie inside my chest. So I left it all in silence with the keyboard still awake. A message made of pressure and the shape a person takes when they need to be remembered but can't handle being seen. When the words are not a bridge but smoke between machines. I send smoke signals to no one, watch them rise and disappear. I send smoke signals to no one, because a real text could come near. I don't need an answer, I don't need the truth begun. I sent smoke signals to no one and called it almost done. I sent smoke signals to no one from a phone that knew your name. I sent smoke signals to no one, and the silence did the same. I don't need forgiveness, I don't need the morning sun. I sent smoke signals to no one and let the message run. The draft stayed open, the room stayed still. The cursor kept blinking like it had a will. I put the phone face down, but the table held the glow. A little white smoke from a fire no one knows. The charging cable curled like a question near my wrist. One notification buzzed and it wasn't this. I waited for the screen to forget what I had done, but the draft kept breathing after I was numb. Smoke signals to no one, no reply, no proof. Nothing came through, but somewhere in the dark, where the unsaid comes undone, I sent smoke signals to no one. Smoke signals to no one. White words in the black. Drafts at 2:03. Notes app open wide. A title with no name and a sentence trying to hide. I left my heart in drafts at 2:03 under a blank little title that never learned to be. I wrote it in the notes app because the chat felt too alive. Because your name beside the cursor made the whole room pick a side. The first line said I'm fine, then the next one told on me. Then I dragged my thumb across it till the paragraph turned blue. I copied every word like I had somewhere it could go. Then watch the menu vanish with the message still alone. It was safer as a draft, it was warmer as a ghost. Some words survive much longer when they never get too close. I left my heart in drafts at 2:03. Saved without a subject, saved from sending me. I left my heart in drafts at 2:03. A note too long for sorry and too small for what I mean. I don't need the blue light, I don't need you seeing me. I left my heart in drafts at 2:03. Autocorrect kept fixing the parts I wanted wrong. changed your nickname into plain text, like the phone had moved on. I typed, I know it's late, then deleted just it's late, as if shaving off the hour could make the one safe. There was lint on the screen and the hairline cracked through you, a charging cord half broken, giving power when it chose to. The battery sat at 19, then 18, then stayed there like even dying slowly had more discipline than care. I left my heart in drafts at 2:03, saved without a subject saved from sending me. I left my heart in drafts at 2:03, a note too long for sorry and too small for what I mean. I don't need the blue light, I don't need you seeing me. I left my heart in drafts at 2:03. No title, no send, one line again. I made a list of reasons, then a list of what I felt. The second one got longer, so I hid it from myself. I wrote, you don't have to answer, then laughed once at the screen, because that kind of sentence always wants the opposite thing. There was a glass on the table with fingerprints around the rim, a sweatshirt on the chair back, falling off one sleeve within. The whole place looked unfinished, like a tab I never closed, and the draft kept getting longer every time I tried to go. Maybe drafts are little rooms where words can sit undressed. No doorbell, no delivery, no verdict, no address. A place to put the sentence that would ruin the air if sent. A place where all the almost can pretend they had intent. I did not want your answer, I wanted a softer law, a way to say I miss you without becoming what I saw, a way to touch the doorknob without knocking through the night, a way to keep the match unlit and still believe in light. Select all, cut none, change dear to hey, then run, move one line, delete three, put back the part that sounded like me. The screen dimmed twice while I stared at one word. I tapped it back, awake like I had not been heard. The note said, more than enough, then not enough again. A crowded little room with no guests to let in. I almost pasted it into the chat at 2:11. Saw your photo in the corner and dropped back out of heaven. Not heaven like a good place, heaven like a height somewhere too easy to fall from, with the phone held too tight. So I went back to the draft where the damage had no date, where the words could stay rehearsing without walking to your gate. I added one more sentence, then removed the honest half and left a cleaner version that made me look less sad. I left my heart in drafts at 2:03, saved without a subject, saved from sending me. I left my heart in drafts at 2:03, a note too long for sorry and too small for what I mean. I don't need the blue light, I don't need you seeing me. I left my heart in drafts at 2:03. I left my heart in drafts at 2:03, a little private whether no one else could read. I left my heart in drafts at 2:03, not brave enough for sending, not quiet enough to leave. I don't need a message to prove I had a need. I left my heart in drafts at 2:03. The note stayed open, the keyboard disappeared. The phone warmed my palm. 203. The 222. I left my heart in drafts at 203. Notes app open wide. A title with no name and a sentence trying to hide. I left my heart in drafts at 203. Typing and nothing. 3 dots, almost breathe. A message starts to happen, then disappears from me. Typing then nothing, that's how I speak. 3 little dots in the corner showing up and turning weak. I watch them pulse for a second like a heartbeat under glass. Then the chat went clean again like no one tried to pass. My thumb stayed above the keyboard, heavy, dumb and bright. The phone warmed up my hand in the blue hour of the night. I wrote one honest sentence that made it smaller than erased. Left the cursor blinking empty in the place I couldn't face. The almost message opened and folded back inside. Some doors do not slam shut, they just stop being tried. Typing then nothing, that's how I speak. A little sign of courage, then the signal goes weak. Typing then nothing, that's how I speak. I get close to the sending, then I leave before it reaches. I don't need a perfect answer, I don't need you to see. Typing and nothing, that's how I speak. Your name sat at the top, too normal to survive. A photo in a circle from a much easier time. The last thing that you sent me wasn't cruel, wasn't kind. Just get home safe and the date underneath the line. I typed I did 2 days too late, then sorry, then hey, then forget it. Then the joke about the weather, even though the weather here had nothing left to say. The keyboard offered phrases like it knew me from a file. Hope you're doing well, looked sickly in its smile. Typing then nothing, that's how I speak. A little sign of courage, then the signal goes weak. Typing then nothing, that's how I speak. I get close to the sending, then I leave before it reaches. I don't need a perfect answer, I don't need you to see. Typing then nothing, that's how I speak. 3 dots, 1 breath, blue light, not yet. The screen locked by itself while I was staring at your name. My reflection came up black and I looked caught inside the frame. I opened it with my face like the phone believed in me. Then the keyboard rose again like a stage too small to leave. I saw you typing once, or maybe I imagined that. A flicker near the bottom, then the conversation flat. For half a second I was ready for whatever you might say. Then nothing came to save me from the nothing I had made. Maybe we both live there in that almost speaking place, where a thought becomes a bubble, then can I keep its shape? Where the sentence gets stressed up and never leaves the room, where the truth sits in the corner with its hands inside its sleeves. There is shame in saying too much, there is shame in saying less. There is shame in all the silence when it starts to look like sense. So I keep making small signals that vanish on the screen. Not enough to be a message, not quiet enough to be clean. Type hey, erase, hey, type your name, erase the blame. Move the cursor, hold the line, watch the dots, waste my time. I set the phone beside me, then pick it up again, like the answer might have changed in the space between my hands. No notification waiting, no miracle in white, just the keyboard where I left it, and the room around the light. I thought about being simple, one sentence, no disguise. Do you ever miss me? Then I hated its eyes, so I softened it to nothing. Made it casual, made it safe. Turned a body into weather, turned a wound into lake. My thumb touched the arrow for less than half a beat. Close enough to feel it, not enough to make it leave the mess. It sat there breathing with nowhere safe to land. And I deleted every letter like I never had a hand. Typing and nothing, that's how I speak. A little sign of courage, then the signal goes weak. Typing and nothing, that's how I speak. I get close to the sending, then I leave before it reaches. I don't need a perfect answer, I don't need you to see. Typing and nothing, that's how I speak. Typing and nothing, that's how I speak. I light up the conversation, then disappear in the heat. Typing and nothing, that's how I speak. All my smoke turns private before it crosses the street. I don't need forgiveness, I don't need relief. Typing and nothing, that's how I speak. The chat stayed open, the room stayed small. The dots were gone like they were never there at all. I put the phone face down and turned it face up and watched the dark glass pretend that was enough. 3 dots, no message, 1 breath, no send. Nothing got answered, nothing could end. But somewhere in the quiet where the unsaid learns to keep, typing and nothing is still how I speak. Blur bubble graveyard, old jokes under glass. I scroll up like a witness through a room made out of past. There's a graveyard in the blue bubbles, stacked above the line. Little boxes full of sentences that used to sound like mine. I scroll past a dinner plan, a photo that won't load, a joke about my old coat, and the wrong way home. The timestamps look so clean, too cold to understand. Tuesday 11:40, like a stamp on someone's hand. No flowers, no dirt, no stone with what we meant. Just blue bubbles in a column where the living feeling went. I came here for a reason, then forgot what I would say. Old messages have a talent for making now feel late. There's a graveyard in the blue bubbles, every word still dressed in blue. There's a graveyard in the blue bubbles where I buried parts of you. I don't need to dig them open, I don't need a better view. There's a graveyard in the blue bubbles, and I am buried there too. The first month's a lighter, more stupid, more awake. Too many ha-has in a row, too many hearts without weight. A picture of your kitchen with a spoon in the sink, a blurry dog in motion, and your thumb over the drink. I tap a broken image and it spins, then gives up a little gray square, coughing for a memory. Not enough, I know what should be in it, 'cause my body still knows. The sweatshirt on your shoulder and the lamp behind you low. There's a graveyard in the blue bubbles, every word still dressed in blue. There's a graveyard in the blue bubbles where I buried parts of you. I don't need to dig them open, I don't need a better view. There's a graveyard in the blue bubbles, and I am buried there too. Scroll up, blue light, old joke, midnight. The search bar at the top could find any word I choose. Sorry, stay tomorrow, or the street where I met you. But I don't type a thing thing, I just keep going back. Like the past hasn't elevated, I forgot the track. There is a voice note from August, 37 seconds long. I don't press it, but I know where your laugh comes in wrong. A sticker with a cat wearing sunglasses in the sun looks obscene beside the silence, like a toy left after someone runs. Maybe conversations die without a final heavy door. No last speech, no clean cut, just less and less and more. A day without a reply, then a week that learns to stand. Then the thread becomes a hallway with no heat and no hands, and still the blue remains bright as hospital gloves. Perfect little rectangles holding what we called love. I thought deletion would be cruel, I thought keeping them was kind. But a graveyard is still a graveyard, even when it's well aligned. Swipe up, go back, one laugh, one fact. Your birthday, my street, a place we didn't meet. I found the message where I said I'll tell you when I'm home, and you answered with the moon like that could keep me known. I stare at that small symbol till it stops being sweet. Just a pale little button on a grave beneath my thumb. The phone warms in my palm like it wants to be forgiven for storing all the evidence of two people once living. My room is quiet around me, but the thread is never quieted as plates, rain checks, headaches, off plans we didn't try. I passed the day we stopped without knowing it would stop. No siren in the message, no warning from the clock. Just you saying busy week and me saying yes, same. Two blue bubbles standing at the edge of something named. There's a graveyard in the blue bubbles, every word still dressed in blue. There's a graveyard in the blue bubbles where I buried parts of you. I don't need to dig them open, I don't need a better view. There's a graveyard in the blue bubbles, and I am buried there too. There's a graveyard in the blue bubbles, all the old light coming through. There's a graveyard in the blue bubbles, still pretending it is proof. I don't need to send a flower, I don't need to start anew. There's a graveyard in the blue bubbles, and I am buried there too. I scroll back to the bottom where the silence learns its place. The text box waits empty with its clean little face. No type and no answer, no ghost at the gate. Just a thread full of weather that arrived too late. I close the conversation, but the blue stays behind. A cold little cemetery in the pocket of my mind. Nothing got sent, nothing broke through, just old messages glowing like they still knew what to do. Blue bubble graveyard, no dirt, no prayer, no flowers on the screen, nobody there. But every time I open it, the past turns blue, and I am buried there too. There's a graveyard in the blue bubbles, and I am buried there too. I scroll back to the bottom where the silence learns its place. The text box waits empty with its clean little face. No type and no answer, no ghost at the gate. Just a thread full of weather that arrived too late. I close the conversation, but the blue stays behind. A cold little cemetery in the pocket of my mind. Nothing got sent, nothing broke through, just old messages glowing like they still knew what to do. Blue bubble graveyard, no dirt, no prayer, no flowers on the screen, nobody there. But every time I open it, the past turns blue. circle on the screen. I heard myself breathe once, then hated what it means. I deleted the voice that almost told you at 2:41. The red button sat there glowing like a tiny guilty sun. I pressed it with my thumb and the timer started clean. 1 second, 2 seconds, then the sound of me not breathing. I said your name too softly, like the phone might tell on me, then stopped before the sentence could become a living thing. The waveform made small mountains from a mouth I couldn't trust, and every little peak there looked like evidence of us. Text can dress up quiet, text can turn and hide, but a voice comes out wearing everything inside. I deleted the voice that almost told you, heard it once and made it leave. I deleted the voice that almost told you all the things I couldn't type clean. I don't need my own mouth giving proof of what is true. I deleted the voice that almost told you before it could reach you. The first take had a swallow right before the word sorry. The second one was calmer and somehow that felt more ugly. I tried to sound casual like people do in the day, but midnight sat in my throat and would not move away. The phone picked up the blanket sliding down from my knees. The small click of my nail on the case beside the keys. A car outside reversed once with a warning beep too bright, and my voice came back beside it like a stranger in low light. I deleted the voice that almost told you, heard it once and made it leave. I deleted the voice that almost told you all the things I couldn't type clean. I don't need my own mouth giving proof of what is true. I deleted the voice that almost told you before it could reach you. Red dot, small breath, play back, not yet. I played the memo once with the speaker near my chest, like maybe if I held it there it would sound more like regret. But I only heard my lips too close to the microphone, the wet little beginning of a person too alone. There was a pause after your name, long enough to be a room, long enough for all the unsaid to sit down and assume. I heard myself almost laugh at the wrong part of the pain, and the waveform kept moving like it wanted me to explain. Maybe this is why I write and never let the sound come through. Letters can stand straighter than a voice in front of you. Letters do not crack at the edge of someone's name. Letters do not tremble when they try not to blame. A voice has too much body, too much weather in the wire, too much chair, too much midnight, too much needing to be lighter. I wanted to be honest without being heard that way. Wanted truth without a throat. Wanted distance I could save. Record, stop, play, delete. Record, stop, don't repeat. Red dot, black screen. My voice too seen. I tried one more take from the start without your name. Hey, I know this is random. Like random was the frame, the fan in the corner kept flattening the air. And even that small noise sounded braver than my prayer. Then I sounded like a person leaving flowers at a door, and I could not stand the softness, so I cut it like before. The memo lived for 12 seconds, then 9, then 23. Each version getting stranger, each one sounding less like me. The phone asked if I was sure, in a box too calm to hate. Cancel on the left side, delete in colder gray. I looked at both options like they were different lives. One where smoke becomes a message, one where smoke survives. My thumb chose the smaller death, the clean one, quick and blue. and the little waveform vanished before it learned to reach you. I deleted the voice that almost told you, heard it once and made it leave. I deleted the voice that almost told you all the things I couldn't type clean. I don't need my own mouth giving proof of what is true. I deleted the voice that almost told you before it could reach you. I deleted the voice that almost told you, left no file, no tiny clue. I deleted the voice that almost told you, and the silence sounded new. I don't need a witness, I don't need the playback crew. I deleted the voice that almost told you, but it almost told me too. The recording list went empty, the red button waited still. My throat kept the message like a room behind a hill. I put the phone face down and heard nothing but my hands, one breath leaving slowly from a place that never lands. Voice memo in the dark, no title, no date. Nothing got sent, nothing got saved, but somewhere in my mouth where the unsaid bruises through, I kept the voice I deleted before it reached you. Send button stayed gray all night under my thumb. The message had a body, but nowhere it could run. The send button stayed gray all night at the edge of what I wrote. One little arrow waiting, like a boat without a coast. I had your name above it, I had the sentence clean. I had too much in the message and not enough in me. The phone was warm from holding, the glass had gathered prints. My thumb made a small cloud where the screen forgot my skin. I wrote, I know it's late, then changed it into hey, then added too much softness and watched the courage fray. The words were lined up ready, the silence held the gate. A button can be nothing and still decide your fate. The send button stayed gray all night, small arrow, no flight. The send button stayed gray all night while I kept making wrong things right. I don't need a perfect phrase, I don't need a cleaner way. The send button stayed gray all night, and I let it stay. The battery hit 11, then 10, then 9%. Like the phone was keeping score of all the nerve I spent. A warning popped up once, low power, closer, stay. I tapped not now too quickly, like that could buy the day. I selected the whole paragraph, then watched it turn to blue. It looked less like a message and more like something bruised. One finger over delete, one finger over send. Two exits on a screen and neither felt like an end. The send button stayed gray all night, small arrow, no flight. The send button stayed gray all night while I kept making wrong things right. I don't need a perfect phrase, I don't need a cleaner way. The send button stayed gray all night, and I let it stay. Gray arrow, warm glass, low power, let it pass. I took out the word always because always looked too tall. I took out never mind because it sounded like a fall. I changed I miss your voice to hope your week's okay, then hated how the polite words made the real ones look ashamed. The keyboard knew my habits, put your name in the row, suggested little phrases I had used months ago. Get home safe appeared once like a ghost with good manners. I stared until the letters lost their shape and lost their answer. Maybe sending is a door, maybe gray is still a wall. Maybe I was never close, maybe close is not that small. Maybe courage is not touching the arrow with the shaking hand. Maybe courage is admitting I still wanted it to land. But I wanted no collision, no red receipt, no sound, no little word delivered to make the whole night count. I wanted all the pressure of a message fully made, without the awful moment when the button turns to fade. Type one line, hold it still, move one word, lose the will. Arrow gray, screen too bright, nothing flies all night. The room around the phone had disappeared by then. Just the keyboard, just your name, just the sentence without skin. My tea went cold beside me, a spoon sank in the cup, and the table kept the shadow of a hand not giving up. The 3:17 exactly, I almost pressed it through. Not because I was brave or because I was tired of you. Not you as a person, but the you inside the phone. The one who kept receiving all the things I said alone. Then the car alarm outside blinked red across the wall, and the moment broke open into nothing much at all. I locked the screen on purpose, then opened it again. The message waited patient like a dog beside a fence. The send button stayed gray all night. Small arrow, no flight. The send button stayed gray all night, while I kept making wrong things right. I don't need a perfect phrase, I don't need a cleaner way. The send button stayed gray all night, and I let it stay. The send button stayed gray all night. No blue flash, no white kite. The send button stayed gray all night, holding back the whole device. I don't need a final word, I don't need a brave display. The send button stayed gray all night, and I let it stay. Morning touched the charger, the phone was nearly dead. The message still sat open with the same words I had fed. I copied it to nowhere, then deleted just the start. Left one unfinished sentence like a hook inside the dark. The arrow never lifted, the chat never changed. No delivered underneath it, no timestamp with your name. Nothing got answered, nothing got brave, but the gray little button kept me safe. Send button stayed gray all night, all day. Nothing went through, nothing gave way. But somewhere in the screen, where the unsent learns to stay, the send button stayed gray, and I let it stay. Read it back too many times, till the words lost skin. One sentence on the screen, letting every doubt walk in. I read it back too many times at the top of the chat. Changed one comma into silence, then changed the silence back. The first line used to sound honest, the 10th time it sounded staged. Like a person in bad lightning, trying to prove they have a face. I wrote, I hope you're okay. then stared until it lied. Then I know this is strange, then strange looked too polite. The cursor tapped the ending with its little blinking tooth, and every time I read it I trusted less of the truth. A sentence can go rotten if you hold it in the light. I kept turning mine over till nothing felt right. I read it back too many times. Now the words don't sound like mine. I read it back too many times. Turned a message into crime. I don't need a better phrase. I don't need another sign. I read it back too many times and lost the nerve inside. Took out the word sorry, then put it back in place, then moved it to the middle like that would give it grace. I changed I miss you sometimes too. I thought of you today, then hated how the softer one had learned to look away. The keyboard kept suggesting little pieces from before. Get home safe and call me like coins found on the floor. I tapped none of them, but they stayed above the keys. Small ghosts in gray boxes trying to finish me. I read it back too many times. Now the words don't sound like mine. I read it back too many times. Turned a message into crime. I don't need a better phrase. I don't need another sign. I read it back too many times and lost the nerve inside. One word, move right. Two words, too bright. One word, move right. Two words. At first the message had a pulse, then it learned to sit still. Then it sounded like a contract, then it sounded like a will. I cut the last paragraph because it asked too much. Then the message looked dishonest with the ending cleaned up. There was dust on the screen and a crack through the space bar. A ring from a cold glass on the table, almost dark. I rubbed the glass with my sleeve and the words jumped underneath, like something small was drowning but still showing teeth. The lamp made my hand look older than the feeling underneath, and the draft sat there patient like a bad little receipt. Maybe there is no sentence that can carry what I mean. Maybe all this editing is just fear dressed clean. Maybe I want the message to do what I cannot do. Arrive without a body and not ask one from you. I want it kind but not begging, clear but not too true. Casual but not empty, warm but not asking you. I want it small enough to send and big enough to matter. I want a paper cup to hold the whole room after shatter. Read once, change hate. Read twice, take blame away. Read 3, add a line. Read 4, lose the spine. My thumb learned the paragraph like a scar. I could recite the first word, the weak joke, the part where I sound nice. I whispered it once out loud and the room made it worse. The message in my own mouth sounded rehearsed. I opened up the old thread to compare my voice to then. Back when I said dumb things and sent them without counting 10. Back when punctuation was not a moral test. Back when a typo stayed there and nobody loved me less. Now I measure every letter like it might start a fire. Take the exclamation out, put a period to look tired. Delete the little smile because smiling feels accused. Then add nothing at the end and call them nothing proof. I read it back too many times. Now the words don't sound like mine. I read it back too many times. Turned a message into crime. I don't need a better phrase. I don't need another sign. I read it back too many times and lost the nerve inside. I read it back too many times. Every soft word sharp and fine. I read it back too many times. Made a cage out of a line. I don't need a perfect way. I don't need the stars align. I read it back too many times and left the whole thing blind. The message stayed open. The night went thin, the send button waited like it had never been. I selected the whole thing, then only cut one word, as if one small removal could make the rest be heard. By morning it was nothing but a paragraph of smoke, a careful little failure in a phone I never broke. Nothing got sent, nothing got kind, just me and the sentence I read too many times. Read it back too many times. No answer, no crime, no blue little bubble, no crossing the line. But somewhere in the edit where the unsung survives, I read it back too many times and left it alive. Your name in the search bar, one letter then three. A small face in a circle, looking nothing back at me. Your name in the search bar still knows me. I typed the first two letters, and the phone completes the story. Your picture rises softly from a list I did not ask, like a door behind another door I wasn't meant to pass. I don't open the conversation, I just let your name appear. A little gray suggestion at the top of all my fear. The keyboard waits below it with its clean electric teeth, and my thumb stays on the glass like it forgot how to leave. I came here just to look, not to knock, not to confess. But even almost finding you feels too close to yes. Your name in the search bar still knows me, still comes up before I choose. Your name in the search bar still knows me, like the phone is kept a bruise. I don't need to open anything, I don't need the whole thread through. Your name in the search bar still knows me, and I hate that I know you. The first result is your contact with a photo cropped too tight. Your shoulder half a window, some ordinary light. Below it there's a message from a year I can't defend. A birthday, then a grocery list, and something about a friend. I tap the empty space, then cancel before it loads, as if touching near your name could count as letting go. The screen shows recent searches where the dentist coffee stains, then your name standing with them like it belongs to daily things. Your name in the search bar still knows me, still comes up before I choose. Your name in the search bar still knows me, like the phone is kept a bruise. I don't need to open anything, I don't need the whole thread through. Your name in the search bar still knows me, and I hate that I know you. First letter, small face, search field, old place. I delete the first letter and the list becomes clean, like the phone can forgive me faster than I mean. Then I type it back again just to watch you return. A trick so small and stupid it still knows where to burn. There is a crack across the screen that cuts your photo at the chin, a fingerprint over your name where my thumb has always been. I wipe it with my sleeve, then make the glass more blurred. Some things get less visible the more they are disturbed. Maybe searching is a message with no chance to arrive, a way to stand outside your door and keep the porch light mine. Maybe I don't want the chat, maybe I don't want reply, maybe I just want the proof that you still occupy some little corner of the phone, some safe machine belief, some index of the almost, some alphabet of grief. A name can be a handle, a hook, a bruise, a thread, a thing you never say out loud but still type before bed. Type one letter, watch it bloom. Cancel fast, quiet room. Type two letters, there you are. Close the search, still not far. I tell myself it is nothing, just a habit in the hand, like checking old weather in a place I never am. But the search bar looks too honest with its blinking little line. It says you came here looking, even if you came to hide. I could block the contact, I could clear the whole device, delete the thread, delete the photos, make the phone look nice. But clean does not mean empty, and empty does not mean free. A name can leave the screen and keep living under me. So I leave it in the search bar for 1 second more than planned. Your face small and ordinary in the country of my hand. Then I press cancel gently, like a person leaving church, and the keyboard folds away with the name it almost searched. Your name in the search bar still knows me, still comes up before I choose. Your name in the search bar still knows me, like the phone has kept a bruise. I don't need to open anything, I don't need the whole thread through. Your name in the search bar still knows me, and I hate that I know you. Your name in the search bar still knows me, even when I clear the view. Your name in the search bar still knows me, like a small unfinished truth. I don't need a blue bubble, I don't need a proof. Your name in the search bar still knows me, and I still look for you. The search field goes blank, the room comes back again. A charger on the table, a glass beside the bed. No message, no typing, no reason I can show. Just a quiet little habit that refuses not to know. I put the phone face down and reach for it once more. Not to open a conversation, not to ask what this is for. Nothing got sent, nothing got far, but somewhere in the dark I typed your name in the search bar. Your name in the search bar. No knock, no key, nothing came through. Just one small way with the name it almost searched. Your name in the search bar still knows me, still comes up before I choose. Your name in the search bar still knows me, like the phone has kept a bruise. I don't need to open anything. Apology with no address. White text with nowhere to land. I wrote I'm sorry 3 times, then took my name from my hand. I wrote an apology with no address, no contact at the top, no blue bubble waiting, no small arrow to unlock. Just a blank note open, and the keyboard breathing light, like a church with no door in the middle of the night. I typed I'm sorry once, And again underneath, the second one looked weaker. The third one had no teeth. I tried to name the damage, but the sentence bent away. Some things get less honest when you force them into shape. But sorry needs a person, or it turns into a room. I stood inside the wording and did not know who to choose. I wrote an apology with no address, folded every line until it sounded less. I wrote an apology with no address. Too late for clean hands, too careful to confess. I don't need forgiveness, I don't need you to guess. I wrote an apology with no address. The first draft blamed the timing, the second blamed my head. The third one sounded pretty, so I hated what it said. I changed, I should've called you too. I hope that you've been well, like dressing up the wound would make it harder to smell. A notification dropped down from some app I never use. 15% off something I could never give to you. It vanished from the screen and left the sentence where it was. A little clean apology, afraid to say because I wrote an apology with no address, folded every line until it sounded less. I wrote an apology with no address. Too late for clean hands, too careful to confess. I don't need forgiveness, I don't need you to guess. I wrote an apology with no address. No name, no send, one sorry again. I thought about your number, then I thought about mine, how both of them still live here in a phone I call fine. I searched my own messages for proof I had been kind, but kindness in a search bar is a sad thing to find. There was a line about the last day that I deleted fast, not because it wasn't true, because it sounded like the past. A coffee ring on the table touched the corner of the phone, and the apology kept growing like it wanted to go home. Maybe apologies are bridges only if someone can cross. Maybe without an address they are just rooms for the lost. A place to keep the sentence that arrives at no one's door. A stamp without a country, a knock against the floor. I wanted to be better without asking you to watch. Wanted to return the hurt without putting it in your box. Wanted mercy from a message that would never make a sound. Wanted all the weight of sorry without laying it down. Type sorry, move blame, cut your name, keep shame, add nothing, erase less. No address, no address. I wrote you deserve better than stared until it broke. Better turned to weather, deserved turned into smoke. I wrote I know I hurt you, then changed it to back then, as if distance was a table between the wound and when at 3:08 I opened the old contact card again. Your name looked ordinary in a way that felt unfair. I could have tapped the message, could have pasted every line, could have made the little arrow carry what was never fine. But the apology felt selfish once it stood beside your face, like I wanted you to hold it just to clear myself some space. So I backed out to the note where the words could stay contained. A sorry with no doorway and no one left to blame. I wrote an apology with no address, folded every line until it sounded less. I wrote an apology with no address. Too late for clean hands, too careful to confess. I don't need forgiveness, I don't need you to guess. I wrote an apology with no address. whole mess. I wrote an apology with no address. The note stayed untitled, the screen went dim. My thumb made a shadow where the scent should have been. I copied the whole thing, then copied nothing too. A pocket full of sorry, with no way back to you. I put the phone face down and the table held the heat. One word still glowing where the glass had touched me. Nothing got delivered, nothing came clean. Just an apology breathing where no one could read. Apology with no address, no stamp, no door. Nothing was fixed, nothing was for. But somewhere in the unsent, where the smoke learns to dress, I wrote an apology with no address. Apology with no address. White text with nowhere to land. I wrote I'm sorry 3 times, then took my name from my hand. I wrote an apology with no address, no contact at the top, no blue bubble waiting, no small arrow to unlock. Just a blank note open and the keyboard breathing light, like a church with no door. In the middle of the night I typed I'm sorry. Last message never sent. Phone face down on the table. Airplane mode in the dark, like silence had a label. The last message never sent me back. It stayed inside the screen, a little white confession with nowhere it could be. I wrote it after midnight, then carried it till 4, like a glass too full of water across a shaking floor. Your name was at the top, too ordinary to forgive. The cursor blinked below it, like it still wanted to live. I had one final sentence, clean enough to pass. Then I watched my own reflection turn black across the glass. Some words do not get closure, they get smaller in your hand. Some endings never arrive, they just stop trying to land. The last message never sent me back. No blue light, no little track. The last message never sent me back. It stayed where all the almost stack. I don't need a final answer, I don't need the thread intact. The last message never sent me back, and maybe that's the fact. I turned on airplane mode, like a door without a sound. No bars, no little carrier, no signal looking out. The phone became a mirror with a keyboard underneath. A private little country where nobody had to speak. I selected the whole paragraph and watched it turn blue. Every careful line that looked suddenly untrue. I saw I hope you're happy, I saw I wasn't fair. I saw a dozen soft lies trying not to sound like prayer. The last message never sent me back. No blue light, no little track. The last message never sent me back. It stayed where all the almost stack. I don't need a final answer, I don't need the thread intact. The last message never sent me back, and maybe that's the fact. Black screen, no tone, one draft, alone. There was a charger by the bed, curled loose like a vein. A cup with old fingerprints and a spoon with coffee stains. The room had gone so quiet I could hear my thumb decide between the little arrow and the backspace on the side. I opened up the old thread for the last time, or I lied. Scrolled past the blue bubble graveyard till the beginning looked bright. You had sent a picture once of a dog under a chair. I remembered laughing at it and hated being there. Maybe a last message is not meant to be received. Maybe it is just a room where the leaving learns to breathe. A place to put the damage before you put it down. A little folded smoke signal that never leaves the town. I wanted one clean sentence to close the years for me, but years are not a window and phones are not a key. I wanted you to read it and understand without reply. I wanted all the old noise to bow its head and die. Delete first line, keep the rest. Cut the sorry, save the mess. Turn off signal, hold your breath. One more word, then less. The message had no courage, but it had a kind of weight. It sat there on the screen like a train that came too late. I put my thumb on delete, then lifted it again as if mercy lives somewhere between cancel and send. At 4:12 exactly, the battery turned red. The phone asked for power like a body near the edge. I almost laughed at that because I was powered too low enough to warn me, still lit enough for you. So I copied the message to a note without a name, then deleted from the chat like the two were not the same. A coward little ritual, a cleaner kind of harm. Keep the words in my pocket, take them out or you're alone. The last message never sent me back. No blue light, no little track. The last message never sent me back. It stayed where all the almost stack. I don't need a final answer, I don't need the thread intact. The last message never sent me back, and maybe that's the fact. The last message never sent me back. No delivered underneath the black. The last message never sent me back. No timestamp, no attack. I don't need the perfect ending, I don't need the courage act. The last message never sent me back, and I can live with that. I erased it in pieces, not all at once. One line about missing, one line about trust, one line with a name there, then only white space. The keyboard went quiet like it lost my face. The phone stayed face down, the table kept the heat. Airplane mode held nothing, but it held it carefully. Nothing got answered, nothing got through. No message crossed over, no light came from you. For a while I kept waiting for the silence to crack like a screen in a pocket, like a door looking back. But the dark stayed ordinary, and the phone stayed flat. The last message never sent me back. No fire, no proof, no smoke in the sky. No window, no roof, but somewhere in the dark, where the unset turns black. The last message never sent me back, and maybe that's the fact. The last message never sent me back. No fire, no proof, no smoke in the sky. The last message never sent